Okay,
Oh,
ready to go.
cool.
Bridget, hello. I'm Lena Hill.
Hi.
Hi.
There
Thank
you
you
are.
so much for your patience, and I'm not going to waste any time, so I want to give you full time to chat with a student. So this is English at Work. They are primarily juniors and seniors. This is our last day of the fall semester, so they are probably overwhelmed with papers and essays, but happy to be talking to you.
Okay.
Okay, so everyone, this is Bridget Marshall. She is based in LA, but describes herself as a Chicago-bred actress and comedian and writer. And she's going to talk a bit about her path from graduating from the University of Iowa as an English major to where she is today. So I'm going to get out of the way.
Cool. Can you just tell me how long this is? Because no one ever told me.
That would be helpful. Usually it's about 20 minutes.
Great. Like the whole.
Yep.
Cool. All right.
But give or take, we're flexible.
Sure. No, I got the time, baby. I shouldn't have called you baby. You're an adult person. So I graduated from the University of Iowa in 2008, and I have degrees in English and journalism. I wrote for the Daily Iowan during my whole time at Iowa, and I had a radio show on KRUI. Was it 89.7? I think that's what it is still. Called the Early Morning Airstrike. And I think that gave me a lot of like career options because I had such a background in journalism. Unfortunately, in 2008, that was when the recession hit. And so there were like, I feel like everybody says that there are no jobs when you graduate, but I kid you not, there were no jobs when I graduated. So I took an internship in San Francisco at a magazine called Ode Magazine. They're based in San Francisco and in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. And that was not my favorite thing I ever did, gotta say. Sometimes you'll take internships that you don't like and you just learn that you don't want to do that and move on. It's not a big deal. But it's kind of cool to take a risk and move to a city where you have no friends. And I ended up like renting a house from this really nice lady, renting a room from this really nice lady who was like 50 and had a 4-year-old daughter. And I was like, how are you doing this all on your own? So I think right off from the get-go, I kind of realized that there are no like paths. You just kind of do whatever you have to. But then I moved back to Chicago. I started doing a lot of comedy and improv in Chicago, which is something I did kind of casually throughout college and high school. And I got a job finally working at the Goodman Theater, where I managed their sales department for almost 4 years. And it's kind of weird to have it like, because you need to have a degree to get through life. You just do. It helps you in innumerable ways. But it's not like you need to have taken a post-colonial literature class to sell somebody tickets to theater, you know? So that was kind of a funny thing that I ended up doing for a really long time while I pursued comedy, stand-up, sketch, and improv. During that whole time, I worked also side jobs at the Second City and at Improv Olympic, which has helped me now be where I am now. So I moved to Los Angeles about 2 years ago. I would have moved a year earlier, but I got hit by a car riding my bike in Chicago and broke my pelvis in a bunch of places. So moved a year after I would have and got a job working at Loyola Marymount University, where I worked because I have a background in like film, TV, performing theater and stuff. I worked at the film school there. Basically, English degrees, you can kind of spin them any way you want. If you have an interest in something else, having an English degree is awesome because you can communicate effectively and people like see English and they're like, oh, you know how to talk to a crowd of people, even if that's not necessarily true. You'll learn, you'll be fine. And what else? Oh, I stopped working at Loyola over the summer because I got new representation and I booked 2 national commercials. So now I am just a commercial actor. And I write freelance on the side and do sketch shows at the Second City and Improv Olympic out here in Los Angeles. So what a whirlwind of a life. And I'm not even 30, guys. Your life is just beginning. Yeah. I don't know. Does that give you like a good portrayal of who I am as a human?
No, that's great. And I just want to ask you one thing. So I was really interested in seeing on your website that you're also producing a web series that you co-created with your sister. And so I'm interested in thinking about how you've continued to write even as you've also done acting. So you're sort of, feet in both worlds.
Yeah, I think writing is something that if you have the skill to do it, like keep doing it as long as you can. Like I keep up a blog. I write for freelance websites like Reductress, or I'll put up stuff on Funny or Die, or I write a lot of my own sketches. I've written 2 solo shows and put them up in Chicago and in LA. I don't know, I've gotten reviewed by the Chicago Tribune and Gawker and LA Times. So those are just, I don't really see the difference between being a writer and being a performer, because to be good at being a performer, you need to understand like how a character is developed, and you understand how a character is developed through writing. So I like to write short stories. I write them a lot. I don't always post them or send them out to websites. Sometimes I do, and sometimes they publish them. But I can't imagine my life not writing regularly. So I don't know. And even like stand up, I'll do it periodically, and you have to write, you write your own stuff. It's your own voice, and that comes through no matter what you do, whether you're a performer or you have a job working at a company. I thought I was going to be in advertising after I couldn't get a real job for a while. I was like, oh, advertising seems like something creative that uses my writing skills, but it just didn't happen at the time, and here I am now. I don't know.
Well, we're going to open it up to questions. I also wanted to introduce my other host, my co-host, Kate Torno, who initially invited you. Say something to this.
I also have a question. So this is just me being nosy. What commercials are you doing? And out here, but just tell us what they are in case we go.
Sure. I am. Oh, do you want to know? Okay. I'm doing a Honda commercial. And one for Google that'll come out in the year.
Honda we might see. So, okay, we'll watch for that. And then second of all, people always talk about freelance. I do freelance writing. What does that really mean? Because to me, I don't know if that means that there's like a blog where you're just in and you're not getting paid for it, or does it mean you're contacting somebody and they're actually paying you and kind of commissioning something? What does that look like to a student graduating?
No, that is a totally fair question, because freelance sounds really glamorous, but it's not. It sucks, which is just the truth. I will basically, for like Cracked.com or Reductress or The Onion, all these places, you send in like 10 ideas, and they'll get back to you hopefully within a month or 6 months, and they'll let you know which ones you should pursue as potential story ideas. The thing about freelance is like a lot of people wait for other people to give them opportunities, and that's not the way the world works anymore. You have to create your own stuff, and if you have an arsenal of great writing or great sketches or a reputation as like somebody who churns out material, then you are more likely to be asked to write for things. But especially when you get started, you have to be very proactive in a way that, like, you might think you're being proactive in school now, but you do have like a teacher like telling you what to do. In your life, you just don't have that. So I guess that's what I mean. Like, I've gotten paid for writing. I've not gotten paid for writing. I've probably done 500 improv shows since I graduated, and I think I've been paid for like maybe 40 of them.
So the idea is that you're just building this body of work.
Yeah, that's the way that it works. And then you get like a regular job in the meantime. And by a regular job, I mean anything that fits like even minutely with what you want to do, like that's what you should be going for right when you graduate, because you're not going to get the best job right away. You're probably not going to be happy with your first job, and you shouldn't want that. You shouldn't want to have one job and then be there for 50 years. This isn't 1940. That doesn't happen. I've had like a zillion jobs since I've graduated, and I learned something from all of them, and that's made me a better person. I don't know. It's made me a better candidate for future things. And as an actor, it's made me aware of of how to act like certain things, because I've had to actually do them in my regular life. So.
Can I follow up what Kate asked? Because I was saying like you really have to be proactive. So I see that you do stand-up comedy. You say in the back of a Chinese restaurant, but then you also have a sort of every Tuesday weekly gig. How do you get those opportunities?
Well, I think being outgoing gets you goes a long way. Well, like I don't know. I mean, when you move to a new city, because I started doing stand-up in Los Angeles. I sometimes would do it in Chicago, but not really. My roommate hosts a show, and I've gotten to be part of things through him. Looking for things like on Facebook, they have so many different opportunities for like new people who move to a place that they want new faces and new styles, just because you're starved for content, there's so many websites, there's so many outlets, and it can be overwhelming. And honestly, you just pick one and go from there. And if you don't like that, then there's a million other ones. So I don't know. It's like, the more you do something, the better you're going to be at it. So you just kind of have to press forward. Does that make sense? I don't know. I love to think about who is like looking at my website and reading like what I wrote.
At a restaurant and then making some jokes with the person, and they're like, "You're really funny. Why don't you?" No, I don't know. But let me let the students ask questions. Do you have any questions for Bridget? I'm not going to tell you everything I've read.
Yeah. Is everybody like from the Midwest area?
No. You know what? Why don't we just real quickly introduce yourselves, what you're interested in, and where you're from, since Bridget.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
Can the camera pan to them?
They start talking, it will.
I grew up in Iowa.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what I'm going to go into, but I'm interested in libraries and writing and things like that. So
cool.
Stand up. It might be easier for her to see you because I think the camera's.
Yeah.
I feel I'm like getting closer to the camera, thinking I can hear you better, but I can't.
Hi, my name is Wen and I'm from China. So I want to be a writer.
Okay. What kind of writer?
Creative writing, fiction writing.
Okay. Cool.
I'm Thomas. I'm from the Chicago suburbs, and I'm just interested in like event planning or marketing, something like that. So,
which suburb?
I'm from the Naperville area, from Glen Ellen.
I'm from Lake Forest.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, whoa, Naperville, bringing the heat this morning, or I guess afternoon for you guys.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm from St. Louis, and I'm applying to law school, but I'm also interested in like creative writing.
Cool.
I'm Caitlin. I'm actually from about 2 hours away from LA, and I am interested in retail and fashion and training.
Cool.
I'm Amy. I'm from Southern Iowa, and I'm interested in like writing and animals and stuff like that.
Writings and animals, and what was the other one?
Stuff like that.
Okay, stuff like that. I thought I heard something different, but cool.
Hey, I'm Max. I'm from Wilmette, Illinois.
What's up, New Trier?
And I'm thinking about maybe working in museums.
What did you say?
Museums.
No, you have to repeat it again. Zines?
Yep. Like, like art museums, history museums.
Oh, museums. I heard zines over and over, and I was like, I think those are out.
I'm Sam. I'm from the southwest suburbs of Chicago, and probably writing more of the law side of it, though. So.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I live in Santa Monica, and I'm interested in environmental writing.
Cool. Wait, you live in Santa Monica? Or you're from Santa Monica?
Chicago, but I live in Santa Monica now.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I'm Sarah. So I'm actually from Texas, and I'm interested in entertainment writing, and I'll probably be going back to Texas for graduate school.
Okay.
I'm Zach. I'm from Davenport, Iowa. It's like 45 minutes away, and I'm interested in like marketing and advertising.
Cool.
I'm Kate. I'm from the suburbs of Chicago too, St. Charles, and
Ooh.
yeah, and I'm pre-dental. So
okay. My aunt has a dental practice in the Chicago area.
What's her name? I would probably know her. I work in a dental office.
Dr. Grady. They're in Palos Heights.
Actually,
cool. She's great. She has a lot of like young students come through her to like learn under her and stuff. Cool. Okay. Headband.
I'm Sam, and I don't really know the answer to this question. I just kind of I'm like open to any jobs, I guess. I don't know, I'm interested in like entertainment or like some type of writing or like maybe advertising, maybe sales.
Yeah. You sound like me from 2008. So everybody might have an idea of what they think they want to do, but you're probably going to change anyway. Sorry. Weren't there more people or no? Yeah.
I'm Matthew. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I'm probably going to do something with the writing. I'm waiting to hear back from an internship right now, and then if that goes through, that'll be great. If not, I'll go from there.
Yeah. I like that.
Hey, I'm Chris. I'm from Iowa City. Go Hawks, right?
Yeah, you guys are coming to the Rose Bowl, right?
It's an exciting time for us. It's beautiful.
That's near where I live. Okay.
Exactly. But I'm kind of the same as the other people. I don't really know what I want to do. I'm kind of open to anything that lets me write creatively. So, yeah.
Well, that's a good spot to be in.
I'm Bernadette. I like creative writing and arts, and I'm from Buffalo Grove, Chicago.
Cool.
I'm Jacob from Des Moines, Iowa. I'm interested in the education route, so I'd be a teacher someday.
Cool. Is that everybody?
Ready.
That's cool. It's nice to hear what you guys imagine for yourselves, because I think part of finally getting to where you want to be in a career is just saying out loud what you actually want to do. And I think for me, when I was graduating or when I was going through school, I had an idea of what I wanted, but I didn't verbalize it as much as I think you have to in order to really know how to get from point A to point B, because there's a lot of steps in between, and in some ways it's way more complicated, but in other ways it's not. You just have to know that you're like the journey is the destination, guys. I don't know. I don't know. I thought I was going to be a lot more coherent in this, but I think I'm not. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. As far as like people who said that they don't necessarily know what they want to do, or they have an idea that they like creative writing, the best thing about saying, that you don't know or that you just like to write is no one's ever going to stop you from writing. Like, you are the only person that can stop you from pursuing that. It's not something that has like a track to it. There's no reason why you can't keep doing what you want to do. Like, if you say that you are interested in creative writing and then you end up becoming a banker or something, you can still write on the side. Like, that most people do. There are very, very few people who write full time. everybody has something else that keeps them going. And then, you hit it big or you don't. And being able to just do it at all is a gift. So think about that. And the internet's made everything so much more accessible. You can write one freelance article for some random website and then you're published. It's not nothing. It's definitely less daunting than you think it is. Is that fair?
I love those comments. I love that you said to get a job and that it might not be something you're really excited about, but that's okay. You can learn from it. When I'm dealing often with seniors, especially if they really want to be into something very creative, what they consider, a field like yours or something, they'll quite often be like, well, I'd rather just go to California or Portland or somewhere and work in a coffee shop and really pursue my art. And I'll say, and there'll be a professional opportunity for them to do a full-time professional job, but they're thinking, I think they fear that if they try that job that doesn't look ideal, that they'll get stuck in it for the next 20 years. And they're in it, so they're instead going to hold out for the big job and do these little piecemeal things. And so I kind of like the idea that it's okay. You can do a job that's not where you're heading for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Walked into it.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why maybe I was a little bit more aware of that as like a possibility is when I worked for the Daily Iowa and I worked for the art section, so I interviewed a lot of writers and whose books, like usually it's was their first book or one of their first ones, and they go do a reading at Prairie Lights, and so I call them ahead of time and just chat with them. There was one woman who wrote her first book, and she wrote it the entire time where she was working as an assistant at the University of Minnesota for some random teacher in like the medical department. It was like 100% unrelated to the fact that she wanted to be a writer, but it afforded her the opportunity to be a writer, because it's really hard. Maybe this sounds crappy, but it's really hard to be poor and be pursuing what you want to be doing, because if you're worried about, where your rent check is coming from, then you're 100% not going to be following through with, that creative dream that you have, because all your energy is going into just making ends meet. So that's something to think about. But I totally understand the fear of being complacent in a job that gives you a 401k.
But I think
it's just knowing yourself and knowing what will make you happy, because maybe you don't actually want that creative dream. Maybe you do want, a family or something, which is great too. It's just knowing what you want and being honest with yourself along the way.
Yeah, one of the things, though, that you seem to have done that's really great, like working at the Goodman Theater, which is an amazing theater and puts on, just the productions are just, terrific. So you were there with a job, but you were still within the world of the arts that you wanted. Yeah. And I see that you've gone on to write one-woman and two-woman shows and act in them. So I'm curious, though, at what point did you get an agent? 'Cause I noticed that you said, well, I've sort of made this transition. Like, how does that happen? How do students who are sort of thinking about that trajectory?
Well, this is a bad answer, but there's no set way to do it. I don't know. I got an agent in Chicago, and she was like so old. This is like, you ever seen Friends? And Joey has that agent, Estelle, and she's like really, really old, and he doesn't book anything with her. That was my first agent in Chicago. She was crazy. So, but she had seen me do an improv show while, I think I did improv 7 days a week for 3 years, which is a lot of commitment to something that refuses to pay you. But then when I realized that I'd been at the Goodman for over 3 years, I got nervous. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be here forever. They're never gonna, I'm never gonna become what I want to be. And I think that was that fear of being complacent is what propelled me forward. And moving to Los Angeles was a huge step in just admitting to myself that I wanted to do this for a living. I didn't want to just be close to something creative. I wanted to actually be creative, which I think a lot of people who have creative goals have that moment with themselves. And then, you know, when you move to LA, if you want to be an actor, I don't know how many people are like, this girl's crazy, acting's dumb. But I put myself in a position to have already worked with a theater in Chicago that had a theater in Los Angeles, met an agency out here. They signed me, was with them for a year, didn't book anything, then switched agencies and started booking like immediately. It's just the longer you do something, the more skilled you're going to be at it. And that goes with anything that you're doing. You know, the longer you write short stories on your own, the better those short stories are going to be. You know, you're not going to get on the New York Times bestseller list with your first book, most likely. I mean, not everybody is a Dave Eggers. It's just, that's the way the world works. So you have to be really putting the axe to the grindstone, so to speak. So, I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Great. We are about to run out of time, so let's do some housekeeping things. Do y'all have any questions or things you're curious about? All right.
Question. How necessary do you think it was to have a college degree to get where you are today? Do you think it was like completely pertinent, or do you think you could have done it with less education?
I think about this all the time because I think higher education is definitely great and it doesn't hurt you, but with certain career paths, it also isn't necessary. I think to get where I wanted to be as an actor, I probably didn't need it, but I'm glad I have it because I'm a better writer and I'm more aware of the world around me and what other people go through, and I've met people from having the degree I have. So I think it's important. Do I think it's necessary for everybody? No, I don't personally, but other people say differently. I think our country should maybe talk about vocational training schools a little bit more. That's just me. Great. I'm going to get off the politics.
Hi. Actually, my roommate and I, we are adapting one of my story into a short movie, and we are kind of stuck at handling the mental activities. So he thought that about a code. So I just want to know that how do you usually do in the film industry?
How do I what with the film industry?
The mental activities.
Mental activities, like mental.
Yeah, in the in books, about a thought about a character.
How do I
do a show because
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think comedy is a little bit. I think comedy for me has allowed my own past and history to really inform most of my characters and my voice as a comedian. So there's a book called The Actor's Path, and that has actually really good workbook activities that I will do that sometimes if I'm stuck or if I'm feeling like I'm in a rut or whatever. That's definitely something I do. I watch movies that I admire and watch actors that I admire do work. I also don't think that there's a substitute for live theater when it comes to whether or not somebody is good, because acting on film and acting on stage are really two different beasts. If you're doing an adaptation of a short story into a film, don't let money and production quality get in the way of actually doing it, because a lot of people talk about doing things, but they don't do it at all. It's better to have a product than nothing. Also, sound is the most important thing in any film ever, bar none. If you can't hear something, it doesn't matter that it looks good. we have 6-second Vine videos that people can't wait and watch, it's a brave new world. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Hey, I want to know, it sounds like you kept up writing a lot of different stuff all throughout your professional career, but how was the transition out of college with your writing? Did you just keep writing, or was it sort of different or harder? And maybe if that's not the case, like, were there any points where you were really struggling to write, maybe post-graduation?
Yeah, so I think what helped me continue writing is I had an outlet, like even it was just my blog. It's basically a diary, but that's where I would put my short stories for a long time. So I told myself, I made a New Year's resolution that I needed to write one short story every week. And that's what I did. Short stories give you a lot of leeway because you can make them really short if you don't have the time. But I think it's just, even signing up for classes after class, like I still take classes in script writing or classes in like solo performance. That's how I wrote my first show, like that pushed me to write it. I signed up for a class, and I do think it's really important to continually educate yourself, maybe not necessarily in a university classroom setting. I don't think you need to do that after you have a graduate or after you have a degree, unless it's necessary to like get a PhD or something. But it cannot hurt to like keep signing up for classes, because I think a lot of people would procrastinate otherwise. And it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh no, I'm 30. Oh no, I'm 40. Oh no, I'm 50. Oh no, I'm dead. It's like, and then you never did anything that you wanted to do. I have a very certain real fear of turning 30. So, and also turning dead. So.
Hopefully there's a gap between those two things.
I'm really hoping.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bridget, so much. Especially just ending on that note of how important it is to sort of keep learning, keep thinking. We always joke about, as English professors, do we get to keep reading for pleasure? So I hope you're also getting to continue to read.
Yeah. Oh, guys, I wasn't going to do this, but I am now. This is a great book, Bad Feminist. I see that it's backwards, by Roxane Gay. She's awesome. Short story writer. So if you like short stories, not the worst thing in the world. And also, I just started reading it, and so, or actually not just, like halfway through, but kind of also illustrates that, like, she's a teacher and she's also writing, or she's a teacher and she got published in a couple of newspapers. It's just, it doesn't happen overnight, and it sucks, but that's the way it is,